Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories and Business. Holy smokes, I'm just thrilled to have this guest on. She was a collaborated writer in one of our books, but she's also written two of her own books. And she's just an amazing person. So I can't wait for you to get to know her. So let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to dive into her story. So today's guest knows that resilience is not about pretending the fire never happened. It is about discovering what remains inside you after the flames and learning how to turn that spark into strength. Leanne O'Brien is an author, speaker, certified resilience coach, survivor, police officer with more than 2 decades of experience. Through her personal journey, professional service, and two books, Leanne is helping others understand what she calls headfire, the inner strength that can carry us from merely surviving in our lives to truly living them. In this conversation, we will explore trauma, identity, courage, and what resilience really looks like when the inspirational quotes are all put away and real life takes over. We will talk about the stories we carry, the parts of ourselves that we may have silenced, and how women can begin reclaiming their voice without allowing the past to control their future. Leanne, I am just so grateful to you that you've been willing to come on the podcast and share with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Julie.
Oh, you're so welcome. Okay, so before we talk about resilience and your books, who are you beneath all the titles? So you're the police officer, author, coach, speaker, survivor. So who are you underneath all of that?
Underneath all of that, I am a mom, a mom, a stepmom, I'm a wife. I love photography. I love to bake sourdough bread. I
Oh,
try to find things in life that have nothing to do with policing. And that's always been a really big priority for me right from the beginning of my career was to try and keep a part of me untouched by that world. So kind of keeps me a bit I don't know, normal as it as I guess you can say.
yeah,
I tried not to, really be engulfed in that life because it really is, it's easy when you enter into policing to kind of let go of all your non-policing friends and be very secluded and everything just kind of starts to evolve around that career. So I really made it a priority not to do that. And I think
yeah.
it's really helped me get this far into my career.
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. So you've spent more than 2 decades working as a police officer. What first drew you to that career?
Well, what first drew me, I always wanted to be a police officer. Ever since I was very young, I wanted to be a police officer. But when I became a victim of crime at a very young age, and I ended up going and reporting the child abuse to the police, and then working with the OPP officer back home. That really solidified the dream for me. It was, I'm going to be a police officer, but I'm going to be a police officer like him. The way he made me feel. And this is a
Yeah,
long time ago. Like, this was probably almost 30 years ago now. Like, this is before the trauma-informed training that we're all, taking right now. And so, like, he was very empathetic in how he responded to me at that time and really solidified what it meant to be a police officer for me.
wow. It's as you were talking, I thought, it just goes to show like we as adults, you just don't realize sometimes the effect that we can have on younger people and that we can help to change their lives just by him being kind and just being himself, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
truly.
Well,
So that really inspired me to be an investigator for those types of offenses. But like everyone knows when you join policing, you don't just hop right into investigations. You have to do your time on the road on patrol, and I did that and I loved it. I loved every aspect of being a police officer. I really did. I'm still a police officer, but I'm just in a different capacity now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow. Okay, well, you also described yourself as a survivor. So, without sharing anything that you want to keep private, when did you first recognize that experience from your past and that it was still influencing your present?
Probably in my early 20s, I would
Mm.
say. Um, Actually, after I became a police officer when I was 24. I was
Ah,
turning 25, and it was during that time, the first couple of years, when I started taking some courses, some senior officer courses, and one was the sexual assault investigators course. And I think it was during that time as well that I received a phone call out of the blue saying that my perpetrator had completed his sentence, and it was unexpected, and I wasn't prepared for, to be pushed back into that, frame of mind. But I think that was when I really realized that, oh, like I'm not over it, and um, I truly believe that we heal in layers, you know, um, because life changes, we change, and the different seasons in life happen. And I reached out and found a new therapist right away, and started, that talk therapy as well, and started reading again and learning and really exploring where those feelings were coming from and what I was struggling with. Yeah.
yeah. What's the difference between surviving, coping, and truly healing?
Yeah. Well, for me, the way I would explain it would be when you're surviving, you're stuck in survival mode. Your
Mm,
prefrontal cortex is offline. Um, you're just surviving. You're making it through the day. And I remember, being stuck in that feeling in that stage, that state, um, for a long time. And I didn't even realize I was in that state because I didn't have the knowledge and the skills and the know-how to even recognize it. I was just surviving.
yeah.
And then what was the other stage as you were talking about? Surviving.
Oh, so you were surviving and oh my goodness, I forgot now. What was I asking you? Oh, surviving and you know what? I forget my own question. Oh,
Okay.
coping
Oh,
and healing, truly
mhm.
healing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, we all have different coping mechanisms, and some are healthy and some are not. Um, and I think that when you are coping, I think you're technically still surviving. You're just getting by. You're starting to heal. And like I said, healing is a lifelong journey because we heal in layers.
Mm,
Like I've noticed over the years where, I've dealt with things and I've felt good about where I am with those things in my life, but then something happens, something changes in my life, like becoming a mother, and, that brought up old feelings and memories and, thoughts about, you know, what that means, like, and what I would do to protect her, you know.
yeah.
And then same goes, fast forward 12, 13 years later when she becomes my age, the age that I was when I started to be um, getting abused. Again, a new season in life brings up a new layer of healing. So I really do think that we heal in layers, and it's just a lifelong journey. There's
Yeah.
there's no end. Yeah,
Can being the strong one sometimes prevent a woman from asking for help?
100%. Been there, done done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
for a very long time, I I was the strong one. I was the tough one. I was the one that never asked for help, did everything on my own. Um, and it really did kind of stall my healing. It really prevented me from starting
Mhm.
this whole process earlier. Yeah.
I guess because it, you're still living in that protection mode, I guess,
Yeah.
by
Survival.
not asking for help or being able to verbalize what it is that we're wanting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And
So yeah, go ahead.
back then, I was going to say back then, I always feel like I'm talking about ancient times, but back then, like we didn't have, Google or,
Yeah.
things that you could just type in and be like, how to do this, or,
Yeah.
we didn't have ChatGPT. We didn't have resources at our fingertips. We didn't have cell phones back then either. So if you wanted to find help, you kind of needed to look for a pamphlet or go to the library or,
Yeah.
go to a local resource center. And even that takes courage to do that and to go out there and go looking for some help.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of benefits to technology, and I agree. I think that's one of them for sure. It's easier to find resources when we
Mhm.
need them. Yeah. Well, you use the word headfire when speaking about resilience. So what does headfire mean and where did it come from?
Well, it came from when I started writing the book, Raising Fire. And I knew that I was going to be writing about resilience and where it comes from and what it is and how we can cultivate it. And as I was writing, and I would think I was about maybe 5 or 6 chapters in, and I was like sick and tired of writing the word resilience.
Oh,
I was like, and then as I was writing and reading, I'm like, I'm just so tired of hearing this word, and a lot of times when people would read my book, they'd be like, "Can you come talk about resilience? Can you share your story and talk about resilience and what made you resilient?" And um, I just kind of feel like it was overplayed, and it didn't really represent what I was trying to say, what I wanted people to feel. So I took a long time to really think about it. And what I was trying to say was like I knew it was like a fire inside of me, but I didn't know what kind of fire. Like I was like, it's not a spark, it's not
yeah,
just a fire. So I kind of started exploring that avenue, and then I found headfire and the definition of headfire being the center of a wildfire, and it's powerful and it's relentless, it's fierce, nothing stops it. It goes through, all sorts of weather, wind, terrain. It's powerful. And that's how it came to me. That's how, yeah, I started using
that's a well.
fire.
Now that I know the meaning of it, that beats resilience 1,000 times over. Goodness, wow. That's and even when you were talking about it, you said fierce, like I could feel as you were talking about it, you could just see power
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted, people to feel when they read it.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, what happens internally when a person begins turning pain into purpose rather than allowing pain to become her identity?
I think it's different for everyone.
Mm,
Um, and sadly there's some people that never get to feel that and never get to get to the stage where I am. Um, they get stuck in that stage where, you're in that survival mode, you have that mindset where you're stuck in that victim mindset and for good reason. It's it's hard to move and to switch gears and to really start changing your mindset, and you really got to do it in stages. And like I said, it's different for everyone. So like the way
yeah,
that I move through my healing stages might be different from somebody else. They may need to, take a little bit longer and, explore different avenues and different ways of therapy and healing. And I talk about that in my first book, Breaking Trail, about, the different things you can try. to help you start your healing journey. And then in Raising Fire, I go into, what resilience is and how we can build your head fire. Like we're not born resilient, as it's a myth. And I didn't really understand that until I became a resilience coach. And
Uh-huh.
I started to learn like a lot of the practices that I've been doing ever since I was really young. And when I was a victim, those coping mechanisms and strategies and trying to reset my nervous system, I was doing automatically, like instinctively. And I didn't even know they were actual micro practices until I became a resilience coach. And I was like, oh, like I do that,
Wow.
like
Yes.
I do that. Like I hum a lot. Um, Especially when I'm stressed out or I got a lot on my mind or I got things I got to get done, I'll find myself, I'll catch myself humming. And that, that's a way to stimulate your vagus nerve, to reset your nervous system. Taking deep breaths and placing my hand on my chest and, having those deep grounding breaths. I remember doing that when I was testifying in court as a survivor and doing those grounding practices before I went into the courtroom, and nobody taught me. I
Uh-huh.
never even read a book on it. I just instinctively knew to put my heart to my chest, tell myself that I'm safe, that I'm okay, that I'm brave, that I can do this. And I would take a few deep breaths and then I'd walk into that courtroom and testify. So there was a few things that I learned, that I was already doing that were practices.
Yeah. Interesting that that it was just instinctual to
Hmm.
for those. Yeah. So your message is turn your spark into strength. What is the spark and how does a woman begin finding it when she feels exhausted or defeated?
Yeah. I, I have so many people and so many women reach out to me and they say, Leanne, I'm just overwhelmed right now. And I
Mm.
watch you, you are a mom and you work full time and you write and you do all this stuff. Like, how do you do it? Like, where do you find the time? Where do you find the energy? And how are you not like pulling your hair out and, taking stress leave? And
Yeah.
I say, well, for one, I love to write. So for me, writing, it's not a job, it's not a task. I love it. And I make time for it. So I don't usually write during the week. If I do have an idea, like ideas will pop into my head pretty much every day or something, and I'll put a note on my phone. It'll just go into my notes. So then on Saturday, I'll wake up at 4 in the morning when everyone's still sleeping and the house is quiet. And that's when I'll open my laptop and I'll start grabbing all those notes and putting them together and doing whatever it is I need to do with them. But again, like I enjoy it. Like I wake up and it's no alarm. Like I just wake up and
Yeah.
I get out of bed and I have coffee and I write for a few hours before everybody wakes up and I enjoy it. So it's not stressful for me. For work, of course I have, days where I'm, mentally drained and I'm tired. Um, but I really prioritize my sleep.
Mhm.
Really, really important, to get, I go to bed early. I'm usually in bed by 9:30 every night. I don't stay up late and then I'm up at 5:30. I have my morning routine and that kind of resets my nervous system, gets my mind ready for the day where I usually go on the treadmill for, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes even 10, 15 minutes, and then I'll do some stretches or some yoga, drink some water, and then I get ready for my day. Um,
Yeah.
and if I have one of those days where it's just nonstop, like yesterday, for instance,
Yeah.
was just like nonstop, back to back, meetings and putting out fires. And I remember, I take those few seconds, close the door, take some deep breaths, ground myself. Okay, focus. Okay, now let's go to the next meeting. You really need to take that time to slow down, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
relax. Um, don't eat my lunch at my desk. I try really hard to sit, somewhere else, not at my desk, not at my computer. just those little things where you can really make a difference in
No, those are fabulous tips for people because we get so, you're right, we get so overwhelmed. And when you think about it, a lot of us are eating at the computer
yeah.
and eating while we work and not stepping back. And and I think that that's important. But I also think when I was listening to you talk about writing and you're, waking up at 4 in the morning before everybody else, and I thought well, you have to love what you do. You have to
Mhm.
have a passion for it. Nobody's getting out of bed at 4 in the morning if they don't have a passion, if they're feeling like, oh, it's like going to the gym, right? Oh, I have to go to
Yeah.
the gym.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get up at 4 in the morning to do it. But if you have a passion for that, and so for yeah, anybody out there, find something you're passionate about. We all should have something,
Mhm. Yeah.
whether it's books or
100%.
art or writing or whatever it is that you love doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
find it and yeah, and yeah,
And it's sad because some people are like, "Oh, I don't have a passion for anything." And I'm like, "Well, everyone has a passion for something."
yes, yes,
You just need to sit down and really think about what is it that you enjoy.
yeah, 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 for sure, absolutely.
Mhm.
So, did writing help you make sense of your story, or did you need to make sense of the story before you wrote it?
Both. So I really did think about when I wrote Breaking Trail was kind of a thought for many, many years. And, a few people that know me would say, you should write a book. You need to write a book. And I'm like, "Ugh," like the thought of writing a book was intimidating because I never took any writing lessons. I Googled like what does a manuscript look like,
Yeah.
It's like what's the format look like?
Yes.
Luckily
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience writing. Like I was a search warrant writer. I took the search warrant course. I can type very fast and very efficient. So that was all on my side. So I can organize my thoughts and I can type really well. So I'm like, well, I Googled what does a manuscript look like? I looked at the way it looked and I'm like, oh, okay, well, easy enough. Set my margins and I just started typing. Um, and it was easy enough to get the words to come out um, after. So when I first started writing Breaking Trail in 2019, um, it just wasn't happening for me. I don't know. There was something, it might have been the time in my life, but it just wasn't the time for me to start writing a book. So I shelved it and I just kind of left it in my computer for a long time until 2024 when I finished my online degree through Wilfrid Laurier. And I'm like, well, now what? What am I going to do with my spare time? So I picked it back up and started writing, and this time the words just came. Like everything just easily flowed onto the
Yeah.
page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was there a part of the writing process that frightened you? So, maybe about being more visible or being judged for the story that you were writing.
Yes. During the process, no. There was a few things I wanted to keep, like to protect. Like I didn't want to write a book that, really, criticize my parents. I really, truly, I love my parents. I think they did the best they could with what they had. Um, I don't have any ill feelings towards my mother. Like so I didn't want to write a book that really criticized her and her parenting. So I was careful with that. I
Mhm.
was also careful with the amount of detail I provided regarding the abuse because it wasn't just me who was a victim. My sister was also involved. So, and we're at different stages in our healing journey, and I didn't want to, re-traumatize her in a way, and I didn't want to like, rehash old feelings that she's not ready to deal with.
Yes.
So that I was also very conscious of. Um, so after the book was done and I sent it to my publisher and it was being edited and formatted, and I think it was probably about 2 weeks before the launch date, and I just had like this like anxiety, like a wave of anxiety hit me out of nowhere. I was getting ready for bed. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I text Stephanie, my publisher. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Change of plans. Like cancel everything. She's like, no. It's like I have
Yeah,
like hundreds of copies of your books sitting here in my office. I'm not. We can't back out now. Like it's
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
So she really kind of talked me off the ledge, and she told me, everyone feels like this. It's because you're being vulnerable. There's that fear of being judged, and that's what this is. It's just a fear, showing its ugly face.
yeah,
Um, so once she told me that, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, she's right. I am scared of people reading my books and being like
yeah.
judging me or
Yes.
thinking less of me or yeah, for sure.
And so how has it been?
Knock on wood so far. So far, it's been really good. People are reaching out to me like from all over the world,
Yeah,
saying thank you for writing, thank you for sharing your story. It's so inspirational, and not just women. Like I've got several men, in high leadership roles writing to me saying, I read your book. I got so much out of it. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you. Yeah.
wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always people out there who need to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if we can just get past that fear,
Yeah.
and you did. So,
That's the hardest part.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what do you hope a woman feels differently about herself after reading your work?
I hope that she feels less alone and I hope that she feels hopeful. I hope that she can read whatever it is that I wrote, maybe something and just say, okay, if she did it, I can do it,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things we hope for in
Mhm.
when we're writing, for sure.
Mhm.
So, what role do boundaries play in the word resilience?
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, I think that, well, boundaries are very important
Yes.
in all aspects of life, personal, professional, and relationships. You really need to set your priorities and for me, my priority really is my family, and then it's work, and then it's writing, and then it's all this other, things that I enjoy doing.
Yes.
But being a mom, is my priority. So if there's some things that I know that are going to cut into the time with my family and my daughter and my the ones that I love and my people around me, you know, I know that that's just not going to happen. I'll try to schedule it some other time, or
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a time and a place for things like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think just even what you were when you were talking about not sitting in front of the computer and, you know, making time for different things, you're very conscious of all of that. You're very conscious of the different parts of yourself that mold into one, and making sure that everybody, you're not 100% over here and forgetting things that are really important.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
because there's no such thing as balance, and I talk about that too. Like
Yeah.
balance is bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
days you give a little more in this area than you give a little less, but for the most part you really try, to
Yeah.
maintain that balance.
Yeah.
Um, and self-awareness really is key. Self-awareness, without self-awareness, you're not going to improve in any aspect of your life. And I think that, knowing that multitasking is a myth as well. So, stop doing a million things at once, and that for
Yeah.
me, when I learned that and when I really stopped doing that and I started making task lists, I do that at work, I do it at home. I have a list and that keeps me on task. And I do one thing at a time. I'm not doing three things at a time or,
Yes.
really focus on one thing at a time. Um,
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
Yeah. Well, how can women stop confusing forgiveness with giving someone continued access to their lives?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Hmm.
I don't, I think that forgiveness is different as well for everyone. Um, for me, I'm, I have never forgiven my abuser, and I never will. I can live like that. I can live with that. Um, did I forgive my parents? Did I forgive my mother? 100%. I forgive her, but she doesn't have access to my life. Like we're not really close.
Hmm.
It's, I think we're as close as we can be, and we try. Like I love her and she loves me, and I have a daughter, and that's her grandmother. So I try to grant that access for my daughter. But
Hmm.
I know that that ship has sailed for us.
Yeah.
This is probably as good as it's gonna get. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I don't really think like it's hard to have that keep that door open, but it's not fully open. You
Yeah,
know.
I always think, there's for myself with my family because they were very chaotic and almost dangerous to be around. And I love them, but I had to distance myself.
Yeah.
And I had to keep my kids at a certain distance because they were just toxic. And I love them and I care for them and I felt bad for them, but I knew that I couldn't be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just yeah, you just have to distance yourself for protection. You have to, we have to do the best we can for our kids and our own mental health as well. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think as you get older, you really learn that and like protecting you and your family really does become a priority, and your own mental health
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What can family members, friends, or colleagues do to support someone who's experienced trauma without pushing them to disclose more than maybe they're ready to share?
Yeah. Well, I think that people need to know that, you know, the majority of you know, child sexual assault cases, child abuse cases, um, sexual assault cases aren't reported. They're never
Mhm.
reported to the police, you know? And I think there's like this, like a misconception where people think that you need to tell someone in order to heal. You need to tell the police in order to get a conviction, to heal, to move on. And what I tell people is, I got a conviction. And the day that that conviction was read to us, it didn't make me feel any better.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
I don't necessarily think that you need to, have a conviction to feel better. I think that you definitely do need to get it out, and either
Yes,
that be to a therapist or you write it in a journal. You tell your friend, you tell a parent, somebody you trust, to get it out for sure. Is the beginning to healing.
yeah,
But to say that, to pressure someone that they need to report it to the police, like absolutely. I support that. Like
yes, of course.
I'm a police officer, and
Yes,
I'm the first one to say I will help you get you through this process.
yeah,
But I understand that the vast majority of victims don't report their
hmm,
crimes. So,
yeah, yeah,
um, and that doesn't say that, those victims aren't well on to their healing journey, or, went
yeah,
living healthy, successful lives. Many of them
yeah,
do.
yeah.
So I think just be patient. Just be
Hmm.
patient. Don't push people. Don't force people to do something they're not ready to.
Yeah,
And everyone moves at their own speed.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, how has healing changed the way you see yourself today?
Well, like I said, we heal in layers. So today I look in the mirror and I'm like, what's going on today? Like,
Yeah,
am I gonna have any surprises? We don't know.
yes, yes,
So I think now I've given up the fact, I've given up the hope that this journey will be over. It'll be over tomorrow, or maybe,
Mm,
that I'm healed and that, I'm never going to have, a bad memory come, and surprise me in the middle of the day. Like I've accepted the fact that that could happen, and it does happen, and it doesn't mean that I haven't done the work, that I'm not healing, that I haven't, come all this way. It really doesn't mean anything. It just means that I finally made place. I finally made enough room for that piece of me to come to the surface.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a that's a I love that explanation. Absolutely. Yeah. So what are you building next through your books, your speaking, and your resilience coaching?
So I'm really excited I've been working with the Wellness Leadership Group in Toronto, and we've developed a resilience in service program, and it's to teach officers how to become resilience coaches. So we're super excited about that. We're starting that in
Yes.
September. Um, so that's on the professional side, policing. On the other side, my more creative side, I'm kind of pulling together all the poems that I've written over the last 20 or so years, and I'm just kind of putting them together as my first collection. So that's what I've been working on creatively on the
Oh,
side. Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just ask you, so why would it be important to have police officers trained to be resilience coaches? How- Is that to
Um,
is that for benefiting to help them go,
yes.
because they must be
Everyone, to help everyone,
everyone
really. Yeah,
to help everyone. Yeah.
the way I envision it is that, well, being in the leadership position that I'm in over the last 8.5 years, what I've noticed is a lot of people are coming into this career without the resilience, the level of resilience they
Uh,
need that's going to get them through the 25, 30 years. And what I noticed is a lot of the leaders that we're placing into roles don't have the resilience, don't have the skills and the ability to withstand the pressure and the scrutiny and the of the
yeah.
leadership roles and the resilience. So when I became a resilience coach, I was taking the training and I'm like, this is what we need. This is what we need to bring in for our members because they needed it. They asked for it. We had a young member ask me one day, and it was point blank at a staff meeting, and we were talking about wellness and taking care of each other and peer support and all these services that we offer. And he says, "I have a question." And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." He's like, "But what are you doing to help me?" And I'm
Hmm.
like, like it caught me off guard. And I
Yes.
was kind of like,
Yes.
Uh, um, well, we have this service and this service, and I started listing all the services that we have and we were proud to have and offer. And he was like, "Yeah, but how does that help me?" And
Mm,
I didn't know what else to
interesting.
say. And I went
Yeah.
home and I thought about it, and I'm like, I think he's onto something. Like what are we doing to
Yeah.
help them build their own resilience? Not much. Like we help them operationally, we give them the equipment they need,
Yes.
the skills, the training, they have all sorts of, use of force training and de-escalation training.
Yeah.
But are we really putting enough focus on their resilience? And the answer was no. So
Mm,
found the resilience coaching program through a friend who was retired from the OPP after 30 years. And she said, look into this program. So I reached out to the Leadership Wellness Group in Toronto and hopped on the cohort that had just started and loved it. And I'm like, this is what we need. This is what we need to do.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And thank goodness for for somebody being, speaking up and
Yeah.
asking the question.
Yes. For
Yes.
being vulnerable and being brave.
Yes.
And yeah. Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I want everyone to know that we are going to have information to find Leanne in the show notes. So grab one of her books, reach out to her if you have questions or anything, but we will have links in the show notes so that you can certainly find her. Leanne, let's just, I mean, we're almost at an end. I don't know. You have just so much depth and so much knowledge and so much kindness. And I don't know. I appreciate you very much. And I appreciate the role that you've taken in society and helping so many people. And now you're writing books and helping people around the world. And boy, if we could all just step out of our comfort zones, right?
Yeah.
And, do what we can do to change that little part of our lives.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
when a woman stops seeing herself as someone who's broken and begins recognizing herself as someone who has survived, what will become possible for her?
Anything. Anything.
Mm.
Yeah. Honestly. Um, I wish that more survivors could feel the way it feels when you make it to that stage, when you make it that far. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being willing to do this. I love this conversation and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And so don't forget, everybody, go to the show notes. You're going to find some information there where you can reach out to Leanne and I would grab her book. And the one that you've done right now is called Fire. No, what's the name of your newest book?
Raising Fire. I have it right.
Raising Fire. Raising Fire. Oh, I love the cover.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. And where can they get it? On Amazon?
Amazon, Indigo, yeah, wherever books
Yep.
are sold. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be there. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
All right, people, don't forget to look there. So, Leanne, thank you so much for doing this again. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the best. And I can't wait to see what comes down the road for you as well.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. It
you're
was a
welcome.
pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And everybody, thank you so much for being here for this episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.